Hello and welcome to Nithrania YouTube channel. You're watching another episode of the Game in a Nutshell series designed for explaining the board game rules. My name is Branislav Berec, and in this video we're going to learn how to play Maharaja, the game designed by Wolfgang Kramer and Michal Kiesling and published by Nithrania Creations. To set the game up, place the game board in the middle of the table, then shuffle these reward tiles and place them in a random order on the reward track. Then place these two Maharaja tokens here in the designated space next to the reward track. Shuffle these city flags and place them in a random order on the Maharaja track and leave these first two spaces empty. Each player chooses a color and places their priest in this starting space on the map. Then take a player board, place 8 shrines in this space on that player board, 7 statues in these spaces, 15 coins in your reserve, and also 3 prestige points. Finally, take the action disc and put all the remaining shrines of your color in the general supply. Then shuffle these character tiles and create a display with the number of tiles equal to the number of players in the game plus 3. So in a 4-player game that would be 7 tiles. Then randomly choose the starting player, let's say the red player, and now starting with this first player and then in a clockwise direction, each player will choose one tile, one character from the display. Keep the remaining tiles in the display near the map. By the way, these components don't come with the game, I only use them to demonstrate the player order. Place the chosen character on your player board. Now, following the order of the character tiles from the lowest to the highest. So in our example, it's blue, green, yellow, and then red player. Players will place 4 shrines on the map, but before you do that, make sure you understand the rules of the game because this is a very strategic decision of the game. So in that character tile order, each player must place 1 shrine in an available empty space of any village on the map. These large areas are cities. These areas are villages, each village has 2 spaces available, and you can only have 1 shrine of your color in each village. So then there was a green player's turn, yellow player's turn, then the red player, then again the blue player, green player, and so on until each player places 4 shrines on the map. You take those shrines from your player board, so at the end of this initial setup, you will have 4 shrines remaining on your player board. The game is played in rounds and each round has 5 phases. In the first phase, Maharaja will move to the next city. In the second phase, all players will simultaneously choose their actions on their action discs, and that triggers the phase 3 in which players perform the selected actions. You will use those actions primarily to build statues and shrines on the map. In phase number 4, you will score the city where Maharaja is located, and phase number 5 is just the end of round and preparation for the next round. The game ends at the end of round 7, or when any player builds all their statues. Players will score victory points, which are called the prestige points, for each of their statues built, then for the highest value of their statues and shrines in each city, and for all your remaining coins. Then the player with the most prestige points is the winner. In the first phase, you move the Maharaja token to the city indicated by the first flag on the Maharaja track. Then move it to the first empty space at the end of the track. It actually covers the number of the current round. This is the blue city, so the Maharaja token is placed in this city. The second phase, the planning phase, may be played simultaneously. All players secretly choose 2 actions on their action disc. If you want, you can choose the same action twice. Don't reveal the discs yet and proceed to phase number 3. The third phase is the action phase. In this phase, players take turns based on the number on their character tiles. The player with the lowest number acts first, the player with the highest character number acts last. On your turn, reveal your disc then perform both of your actions. You may perform them in any order you want, and you may perform them partially if you want to. If you would have any action tokens on your player board, once per round you may spend one of those tokens, and you may perform any action from your action disc except for this exchange characters action. So that means with the action token you may perform 3 actions on your turn. In this section of the video I'm going to explain all the actions on the action discs, and we will start with this action: build a statue with a 1 coin discount. You can only build a statue in a city, and you must have your priest in that city. Then pay the cost, which is normally 10 coins. However, since you play the action with a 1 coin discount, you would only have to pay 9. Return those coins to the general supply. If there's a Maharaja in the city, the cost is increased to 12. So with a discount, it would only be 11. Then take a statue from your player board and place it in any empty space in the city. There is 1 central space and these 6 external spaces. The central space is worth 3 worship points, which are scored in the phase 4. External spaces are worth 2 worship points, and these 2 spaces have a special bonus. When you place your statue on these spaces, take that bonus immediately. Remember, to build a statue in a city, you must have your priest in that city. You may move your priest anytime on your turn, before, after, or even during performing the action, and you may move it as many times as you want. However, you have to follow certain rules. First of all, you may only move along these roads. Second, you can only move through the village if there is at least 1 shrine of any player in that village. That means players may not move from this starting space to this city because this village is empty, there is no shrine there yet. If you have your shrine in the village, then you move through that village for free. If you don't have the shrine in the village, you pay 1 coin to each player who has a village there. So if yellow priest will move from this city to this city, yellow player would have to pay 1 coin to the red player and 1 coin to the green player for this village, but yellow player would move through this village for free because they have the shrine there. You can move through the cities and this starting space for free. With the next action, you can build 1 shrine with 1 coin discount. You can only build a shrine if you have it on your player board. Then you need to pay 1 coin. However, with a discount, with this action, it's actually free. And then you may either build it in any empty space in any village. However, remember, there can only be 1 shrine of your color in each village. And only in a 2-player game there can only be 1 shrine in each village. Or the other option is to build a shrine in a city, but to do that you must have your priest in that city. And when you build a shrine in a city, you can build it on the circle. There is no limit to the number of shrines in a city, and each shrine here is worth 1 worship point. Now, with this action, you may build 1 statue and 1 shrine. You can build them in any order you want, and you build them using the rules we have just covered. With this action, you may build up to 2 shrines, and at least 1 of those shrines must be in the city. If you want, you can build both shrines in a city, and you can build them in 2 different cities. Remember, you may move your priest anytime on your turn. Again, follow the standard rules for building shrines. Then, with this action, you simply take 3 coins and place them in your reserve. With this action, you take 2 shrines from the general reserve and place them in your personal reserve. With this action, you may pay 3 coins and gain 2 prestige points. You pay the coins from your personal supply and then take those prestige points. Then, with this action, you may exchange your character. Take the character from your player board, place it in the display, and now you may choose a character either from the display or from another player. Let's say you take the character from another player. Now that player has to choose 1 character tile from the display. place the new character tile on your player board. Most character tiles have special abilities, and when you exchange the character tiles, you may use the special ability from the old one, then do the exchange, and then use the special ability from the new one as well. And finally, with this action, you may change the flags on the Maharaja track. Choose any flag on the Maharaja track and move it exactly 3 spaces backwards. Now, don't fill these gaps yet. When other players choose the same action, if they move the city flag and the city flag ends up in an empty space, it is simply placed there. If the city flag would be moved to a space which is occupied, slide those city flags to the right so that you make the space for your city flag. Again, don't close those gaps yet, they will be closed in the 5th phase. In the 4th phase, you will score the city with the Maharaja token. To score the city, first calculate the worship points for each player with the components in the city. The central statue is worth 3 worship points, external statues are worth 2 worship points, and each shrine in a city and also each priest in a city is worth 1 worship point. So in our example, the yellow player has 2, 4, 5 worship points, the green player has 4 worship points, blue player 3, and red player 2. In case of a tie, let's say the red player and the blue player would both have 3 worship points, the player with the lower character number wins the tie. Those worship points are also indicated on the game board. Then players gain rewards based on this table. This is their order by the worship points and this is the player count. So first, players gain coins and then they can take tiles from the reward track. However, if you have no worship points from the city, you don't get to choose the worship tile, you only gain 3 coins as a compensation. You still get the coins from the player order in that city even if you don't have any worship points, but you don't get the reward tile, only the 3 coins as a compensation. When you take the reward tiles, in a 2-player game, only these first 3 reward tiles are available. In a 3-player game, the first 4 tiles, and in a 4-player game, the first 5 tiles. You may choose any of those tiles. When you do, take the reward from that tile and the tile is moved to the top. Again, don't fill these gaps yet. The next player has to choose from the available tiles, and again, after choosing the tile and taking the reward, the tile is moved to the top. When all players are done, the 4th phase is over. The 5th phase is the end of round phase, it's the administration phase. First, close the gaps on this Maharaja track by sliding the city flags to the right. Then slide all the rewards down, and if the Maharani tokens would be somewhere on the game board, return them back to this space. The game ends at the end of round 7, or when any player builds all their statues. In that case, finish the current round and then the game will be over. Then perform the final scoring. First, return the character tiles back to the box they're not used during final scoring. Then for each statue you build over the course of the game, you score 3 prestige points. So yellow player would score 12 additional prestige points. Then for each 5 coins you also get 1 prestige point. So in this case 10 coins would be worth 2 prestige points. And then you would score each city in the game. For each city on the game board, the player with the most worship points would gain 2 prestige points. In this example, it's a yellow player with 2, 4, 6, 7 worship points. In case of a tie, let's say yellow player wouldn't have the priest here, which means the yellow player would have 6 worship points and the green player also 6 worship points. All tied players would gain 1 prestige point. Then the player with the most prestige points is the winner. The summary of the final scoring is also printed on the game board. If you want, you can alter the final scoring using these final scoring tiles. You can find a description of those rules in the rulebook. You can also use additional variation tiles like this one to alter or add additional general rules or city scoring rules and so on and so forth. So that's how you play Maharaja. If you would have any questions or comments, please put them into the comment sections below. I'll do my best to answer as many as I can. If you like the series, please subscribe. You can even support the channel on the Patreon page. You've been watching Game in a Nutshell. My name is Branislav Berec and hope to see you next time. I would like to thank everyone who has ever supported the channel and especially the current supporters listed on this page. If you too would like to support the channel in creation of videos like this and other video tutorials and other content on this channel, please visit the patreon.com/Nithrania.